Hi, I am thrilled to roll out our new strategic plan, Tennessee Best for All. In creating this plan, we wanted to start by listening to our teachers, our principals, our superintendents, our students, and our families to hear more about what Tennessee wants to put us on a path to success and to ensure that we can continue the incredible progress we've made over the last decade. As part of this development, we read educator surveys, we had focus groups, and we visited hundreds of classrooms across the state of Tennessee and learned more what will truly make Tennessee the best for all.
In developing this strategic plan, we took a slightly different approach. We asked for input on what the priorities should be first. To get that input, we conducted a listening tour. This included school visits, engagements with community organizations, and small and large group meetings, covering over 60 counties statewide and in each of our core regions. We also asked a question on the 2019 Educator Survey specific to the strategic plan. In total, we read 25,539 responses from our educators. Hearing directly from our teachers and leaders is a critical piece of this work and was significant in the development of the plan. Finally, we received extensive public input. This came through educator small group meetings, student discussion circles, the annual district survey, and a number of other surveys and emails. Once input was received, the department produced a few iterations of the plan for feedback. Stakeholders were able to respond to the initial pieces of the plan and provide reflections and feedback for the department to include. In total to date, the department visited over 500 classrooms, over 70 districts, and reviewed over 35,000 comments. All of this was included in the final draft of the department's strategic plan, Best for All. Through the listening tour and development of the plan, we heard the commitment to maintaining high expectations for standards, assessments, and evaluation. This is the foundation from which Tennessee's progress has been built and will remain a commitment from the department. We heard the urgency from our stakeholders in addressing the needs of the whole child. Students in classrooms today need something different than they did in classrooms 20 and 30 years ago. As the needs of our communities have changed, so too have the needs of our schools. As an education system and a state, we too must evolve to meet the needs we see in our classrooms each and every day. Finally, we heard clearly what we all know to be true. Our teachers are the lifeblood to our public schools. As the single most important factor in a child's education, we must prepare and support our teachers so that they know they are valued and can be successful in their roles. Throughout the development of this plan, a few things became clear. Tennessee is a state about family and about community. Further, Tennessee education is about students and about teachers. This was reflected throughout the feedback. Students shared stories about their favorite teachers, the ones who pushed them and who believed in them. Principals wanted to show and talk about their strongest classrooms to prove what is possible and what their teachers and students are capable of accomplishing. Families wanted to share how a certain teacher impacted and changed the lives of their child, and in many cases, their families.
The Tennessee Department of Education is excited to talk more about our priorities. Our vision for this work is to set all students on a pathway for success.
The question now is, where are we going and how do we get there? We heard from the field the need to have one unifying vision and goal for our education system. We thought deeply about the purpose of pre-K through 12 public education, which is to provide the quality of education necessary for students to be successful in whatever it is they choose to do. Our vision is to set all students on a path to success. This means that 2 years after graduation, students are on track towards meeting the ambitious goals they've set for themselves. This may mean persistence towards a 4-year degree, a TCAT certificate, enlistment in the military, employment in a high-wage job, or something similar. Like an annual checkup, we will measure this along the way through TCAP assessments, the SAT and ACT, chronic absenteeism, literacy, student engagement, and more. However, these are all indicators to let us know how well a student is progressing to those ultimate goals. Our job and our responsibility is to make sure our students are prepared for success when they are on their own, and a strong public education will do exactly that. To accomplish this, we will focus on 3 critical priorities: academics, whole child, and educators. For academics, all Tennessee students will have access to a high-quality education, no matter where they live. This might look different across the state, but we must ensure that every child has access to an excellent education and access to the same opportunities as their peers. For whole child, Tennessee public schools will be equipped to serve the academic and non-academic needs of all kids. This has been the #1 piece of feedback that we heard for the strategic plan. We know that the needs of our children have shifted over the last 10 years, and we must devote capacity to meeting those needs. Finally, for educators, Tennessee will set a new path for the education profession and be the top state to become and remain an educator. The single most important factor in a child's education in our K-12 public schools is the teacher. So we must elevate the profession to ensure our teachers feel supported and valued.
Our first priority is academics. Our big vision statement for academics is to ensure that all Tennessee students have access to a high-quality education no matter where they live. Whether it's rural Tennessee, urban or suburban Tennessee, or town Tennessee, every single child should have access to the incredible, rigorous opportunities that our public education system provides for them. Priority 1 focuses on early literacy supports. We know for sure that Tennessee has come a long way. We also know there is more work to do, especially in literacy. Nearly 2/3 of our 3rd graders cannot read on grade level. Almost 75% of 8th graders cannot proficiently read their textbooks on the first day of high school. As a state, we must prioritize effective literacy practices to accelerate reading for all of our students. It is one of the most critical factors for their future success and ability to compete for high demand and high wage jobs. This initiative focuses on literacy in the earliest grades. Our pre-K through 2nd grade students must receive daily, purposeful, systematic phonics instruction, and we must ensure that every child is proficient in reading by 3rd grade. The department plans to make grants available that support the science of reading. Grant money would include funds to purchase high-quality instructional materials. We must use research-driven and proven materials for our students. Grants will also cover support from an effective and proven provider towards implementation of the materials, district and regional literacy trainings and workshops, and alignment across the various touch points our teachers have with this work. As a former elementary school principal, I know that this cannot be done with a one-time training. It requires ongoing and regular coaching and supports for our educators, a common diagnostic to measure progress and more effectively target resources to areas of need, and the deliberate patience to stick with what works. I've personally seen my own students, just as I have seen students across the state of Tennessee, demonstrate incredible results in literacy in every zip code. We must quadruple down on literacy with the clear understanding that it is the foundation upon which a child's education is built. And without that strong foundation in literacy, our children will not be as successful in their future professions. From a textbook to a technical manual, reading is the core of our learning, and nothing else can fully work until this does. We know that after the teacher in the classroom, the materials used are the second most important and impactful component of a child's education. This makes sense. Every day, our children experience the teacher teaching them and the materials they use to apply that learning. We must ensure those materials are as strong as possible. The state will launch a knowledge campaign related to high-quality materials in conjunction with regional trainings and workshops to support local district selection processes. The state will provide grants to support ongoing and effective implementation and trainings for new materials. Finally, the state will produce an online tool that explicitly supports a deeper understanding of the standards and ties that directly to lessons or learning progressions within the high-quality materials adopted. Directly tied to our high-quality materials are the need for innovative assessments.
The state plans to build a suite of formative assessments that will be freely available to any district who chooses to use them in lieu of the many purchased assessments they may currently use. We plan to eventually make these formative assessments align to the high-quality materials on the state list, and all will use TCAP-released questions. The state will also develop interim assessments, more full test options so that districts can benchmark their progress before the summative assessment. Finally, the state will build and release an online test bank so that districts still have the option of building their own local assessments, but with the ability to use free TCAP questions, saving them thousands of dollars. All three of these efforts should reduce total testing time for students, as districts are able to eliminate redundant formative testing in the hopes of getting a more reliable result for students, saving time and money that could be redirected towards areas like literacy support. Finally, we heard directly from students that high school was too late for determining what pathway they should be on. Many had already spent 1 or more years in a pathway and realized that they didn't actually like the field. By giving students the opportunity to identify what they like and what they are good at before high school, they will be better able to navigate the opportunities available to them and select pathways that are a best fit. Under this initiative, the state will provide free access to pre-K through 8 career exploration opportunities, provide professional development and support for districts and schools to best use the data that students receive, provide grants that allow districts and regions to expand high school opportunities strategically and to think differently on how to innovate the high school experience and provide more students with rigorous, experiential opportunities in their selected fields. Our second priority is whole child. We want to ensure that all Tennessee public schools are equipped to serve the academic and the non-academic needs of every student. State data shows that Tennessee is 38th in youth mental health in the country. We also know that our teachers have named whole child and mental health as their #1 concern regarding their ability to be successful and effective in the classroom. We must support the students that we have in our classrooms today so that they can be ready to take advantage of the learning in front of them. This includes addressing their physical needs, food, physical health, and exercise. It also includes their developmental needs as it may relate to issues of addiction, poverty, specific behavioral disabilities, mobility, and more. Not all of this should be done by the school, and the school should not substitute for the parent. However, we must also ensure that our schools have access to resources to provide these supports for students so that teachers can get to the business of teaching and students have what they need to be ready to learn. We will conduct a more thorough listening tour to make sure we deeply understand what our educators and schools need. We will create a state committee to discuss and deliver recommendations for how to support this work, composed of superintendents, educators, principals, community members, and other field experts. We will work with our agency partners like the Department of Human Services and the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse to create a stronger map of resources and to create a tool to connect schools and districts to those resources. Teachers cannot continue to be all things to all children. We must do a better job of connecting what is available to those in need. As part of the state's efforts to develop college and career-ready graduates, we recognize that there are a number of knowledge and skills that higher education and employers would like to see from our graduates. The state would like to create a state-specific character and citizenship education program that would be freely available to all districts for use. The materials would cover the work-ready characteristics our students need, such as organizational systems, grit and perseverance, problem solving, receiving feedback, and time management. Citizenship and civics must also be included. Our students should understand the importance of their civic duty, of voting in every election, and of service. Finally, we recognize the importance of effectively serving our students with disabilities. The needs of our children vary, and so too should our services. First, the state will develop an online tool for families and educators to help identify the resources that students need and to navigate what can be a very complicated system. Families should feel empowered to understand the process and to support their children at home and at school. Educators should have the tools they need to support their students, especially when additional resources may not be available. Second, the state will create statewide and regional networks. These hubs will provide differentiated and targeted technical assistance and, in some cases, short-term direct services for districts, along with planning support for long-term needs.
Our third priority is about educators. In this priority, we want to ensure that Tennessee will set a new path for the education profession so that Tennessee becomes and remains the top state to be a teacher. We recognize that we must recruit and retain future teachers into the profession. We see the data that fewer students are interested in becoming teachers, just as we are experiencing larger numbers of educators retiring. First, as a state, we are working to remove barriers to entry, including proposing changes and adjustments in licensure in the first year of this plan. In high school, we will create an advanced course for teaching so that future teachers can earn post-secondary credit in high school and begin to elevate how they see the profession early. Next, we will launch a fellowship where we will recruit some of our strongest student leaders into the teaching profession by offering college tuition incentives, credential incentives, and specialized programming. Third, we want to expand and replicate the amazing work happening with Grow Your Own programs in the state. For example, the Clarksville-Montgomery-Austin Peay partnership allows for future teachers to receive a degree for free in 3 years and a credential, all while receiving a salary, health benefits, years in the pension system, and the guidance of a master teacher. This also keeps students in their home communities if they so choose, increasing longevity in the profession, and in many cases, greater diversity amongst teaching staff by removing barriers to becoming a teacher. Finally, we know that we need to partner closely with our elected officials to discuss teacher compensation. This is a significant issue in our state and one that warrants many voices to be heard. We know that educator preparation has the potential to positively impact future teacher success. Now is the time to consider what can and should be true for all future teachers prepared in Tennessee. This educator preparation program innovation should include a strong understanding of state standards, strong understanding of high-quality instructional materials, the science of reading, data, assessments, dual certification in special education, and early internships. We know we have a higher education community committed to supporting all of our future educators and who will partner to push towards positive growth and progress. We believe the same changes must be true for our leadership preparation programs as well. Our teachers must be supported by strong, effective, and collaborative leaders. How we train and support people for this work will have lasting impacts in our school communities. Tennessee can truly lead in this space, and we must collectively push this important work forward. We believe our teachers' expertise must be leveraged in every setting. We will have pathways for teachers to move into administration, as well as to be leaders in their classrooms and schools. This means setting up regional teacher leadership networks where teachers can engage with one another around professional learning, development, and practice. These will be led by Regional Teachers of the Year and include educators that span grade bands and content areas. Next, we will create articulated pathways to allow teachers to grow while staying in their most impactful roles, in the classroom. We are investing in quantity and quality in our leadership networks. Quantity looks like the creation of new and expansion of existing leadership networks, while quality looks like the selection of high-quality state and national providers to deliver programming. For example, the Rural Principal Network now has programming delivered by the University of Tennessee's Center for Educational Leadership for Cohort 1, while we are launching Cohort 2 in January 2020. Our other core values in this work are based in access and ongoing development. Access will look like our new Aspiring Assistant Principal Network, which will allow for each district to choose one educator to receive a free master's degree in school leadership and serve as an assistant principal resident in the 2021 school year. As educators, we believe in continuous improvement and look forward to having several of these network cohorts continue receiving high-quality programming over multiple years. The department has built our theory of action for how the strategic plan will ultimately support students. First, we know that this work is built upon a strong foundation of standards, assessment, and evaluation. We will continue to solidify and codify this important foundational work in our system. Building on that foundation, we must ensure that all children have high expectations
and access to opportunities that will allow them to meet those expectations. We must also ensure that we support the full needs of the student so that they can take advantage of the exceptional opportunities provided to them. And we know that we can only provide that exceptional education with supported and strong educators and administrators in our classrooms each and every day. This requires the state to support district capacity building in multiple areas of the work and to differentiate the needs of our districts more thoughtfully. This will look like more advanced notice and calendaring of state activities, a reduction in emails, consolidation of newsletters, shortening of paperwork, and consolidation of planning documents, and more targeted resources so that districts can focus on serving schools, not state bureaucracy. What we request, require, and collect needs to count. And we can only do this if we engage meaningfully with our stakeholders. And this will look different than it has before. The department will more frequently ask for ideas first, input, and not come with the answers. We need to solicit ideas and needs from our communities and districts before we tell you what you need or how to do your jobs. This sounds great, but it's also a lot harder. It means that we need you to come with ideas. We then generate ideas for possible solutions and request your additional feedback. And then, and only then, can we begin to formalize and implement. This may sound better, but it also requires everyone to be part of the solution together. And it also means we collectively own that solution as a state. It's a shift, but an important one. This is a Tennessee opportunity, and all Tennesseans should feel engaged if they would like to be.
Thank you so much for watching more about our strategic plan, Tennessee Best for All. We want to ensure that every student is on a path to success. Every child when they graduate should know that they are able to accomplish whatever dreams they've set for themselves, to support their families, and to be productive citizens in our great state. Through a high-quality academic program, through whole child supports, and through a program that really values and supports every single educator and leader in our public schools, we know that together we can continue to accelerate the success that our state has seen over the last decade and push ourselves even further and faster. Thank you so much for the work that you are doing to support our public schools, and more importantly, the work that you are doing every day to support our children. They need us, and we thank you.